A do a do 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 a do 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 do. It's time for questions. Questions for a floating head. Hey, questions for a floating head is live. I'm Steve or Dale, whichever one you want to call me. It doesn't really matter. I got people who call me both. Today, of course, was Tech Tuesday on the Bob Doyle Show. I'm sure we nobody missed that. I'm sure, particularly you. So when we do Tech Tuesday, we sometimes like to come out to the old dog playing field. You can see the dogs playing there in the background. They're just so cute, dogs, you know, covered with fur, tails, playful spirit, unconditional love, that whole thing. Let's go to your comments, see if we got anybody in the room. Right now, looking pretty sparse. Yeah, now looking like people have many questions for the floating head. I understand sometimes it's difficult to wrap your head around the whole head thing. I probably should have said that differently. How about this? Sometimes it can be difficult to wrap your arms or your mind around this whole floating head thing. I get it. It's not a usual thing. Let's go to your comment. Amy's here because Amy is a team player. Right. And she's going to come up with a question for a floating head. So why do we come to the dog playing field to do the questions for the floating head each and every week? This being the first week and possibly the last. But why? Why do we do the dog playing field? And what is a dog playing field? Well, I think if you use your context clues or cues, depending on where you went to school, you'll understand that, well, there's dogs here, and they're playing. And if you look closely, you'll see that it's a field as well. So we just, in the biz, we call it the dog playing field. Got it? Let's go to your comments. Christine, Unda Rafakitri to you, my dear friend from across the pond. Listen, we're here to ask questions to a floating head. Now, it's my understanding, even though I'm pretty much used to being one, as you can imagine, I understand that it's not a usual thing for everyone. Like perhaps you are confused, perplexed. A floating head, that seems painful, at least. Definitely unusual at best. Now, we did turn off notifications on our broadcasting device, and yet they're coming through. So we're having fun with that as well. Let's go to your comments. How's the rest of your body feel? Says Amy. Well, she's suggesting that I have one, a rest of my body, which, again, totally understandable. Most people that most of us know do have one. I'm not most people, so there is no rest of the body. But if I, to go along with the spirit of the question, if I had one, it would probably feel like chocolate. Let's go to your questions. Hi there, floating head. Unda Rafakitri, says Jane. Hello, Jane. Unda Rafakitri to you as well. All right, well, I'm going to start you off with some questions you might have. Like, for example, why are you floating? Why are you not in a wheelbarrow or some sort of a wooden bucket with two metal rims around it? You know, like you see on TV and stuff. Why wouldn't you be on the end of a stick? I mean, it seems like a crazy question, but at the same time, this may seem crazy to you, a floating head, right? Let's go to your questions. Oh, says Amy. It's not really a question, though. It's more of a comment. Look a bit like a younger Steve Martin, says Jane. I'm sure that's purely coincidental. Anyway, so why floating? Well, let me ask you a question. Are you ready? I need to know if you're ready. I don't want to ask a question if you're not ready, because then I'm just like asking it into space. And then what if you missed it, right? And I'm asking, there I ask the question, and then you're like, da, 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 whatever you're singing. Why am I floating? Well, here's my question for you. If you could float, wouldn't you? Let's go to your comments. Yup, says Jane. See, I got an instant answer. That happens to be a coincidence, I'm sure. But I'm going to go with it because it's just damn good broadcasting. Wouldn't you agree? Let's go to your comments. Why are the dogs not using your head as a ball? Thank you. That is a very good question. I'm going to be honest with you. I've offered. I love dogs. I love them. Love. And I figure as long as I'm disembodied, as we have clearly covered, thanks to Amy's question, look, I don't mind a little dirt in my teeth. See? I got some right now. I don't know if you can see, but there's dirt in it. But you know what? They weren't interested. They just prefer to, I don't know, lick each other themselves, that grass. I mean, they've been there a long time. And every time we come to this field, they're there. Maybe some of you have seen this field before. Anyway, let's go to your comments. I had the same thought, love to float or fly. Andy is watching. Hello, Andy. Do you have any questions for a floating head? If anybody out there has a question for a floating head, it's Andy. It's got to be. If he doesn't have one, then we should just stop this show because that means there aren't any questions for a floating head. Am I right, Jason? Am I right, Amy? Huh? Let's go to your comments. Oh, we're already there. All right, so yes. So if you could float or fly, you would, of course. So I do. But, like I said, I have been known to get on the ground, roll around. It's fun. To a point. If I roll into a rock or a stick or into a cactus, ooh, no bueno. Let's go to your comments. Can you put your floating head into the center of the hay bale so it looks like you are a caterpillar? I love the concept. Unfortunately, no. Not easily. But thanks for your question. This is me with a sincere look of thanks. Now, this is me with a sort of insincere look of thanks. Thanks for your question. Right? So, just so we're clear, that I gave you before was a sincere look of gratitude, unless I'm lying. So, there's that. Let's go to your comments. No new questions. All right, well, let me come up with another one for you. A question for a floating head that you may just be afraid to ask. You might say, Steve or Dale, why do you part your hair on the right? What's wrong with the left? Do you have something against things on the left? Is this suddenly a political discussion? To which I say, what is your problem? I part my hair on the right because that's where it parts naturally. Why would you ask a question like that? That's weird. Okay. All right, let's go back to your comments. You are a very funny man is in fact a comment, which is appropriate because I said, let's go back to your comments. I suppose what I should have said is, did you hear that? I suppose what I should have said is, let's go back to your questions. So let's try that and see if when I go back, there's a question like, for example, what color are your eyes? To which I would say, whatever color you want them to be, my friend. Whatever color you want them to be. Christine, can I get an amen? I'm waiting. We're all waiting now for Christine. Now, she may have left. If that happened, we're going to be waiting a long time. So while we do, let's go to your comments. Are you wearing, is that lipstick? Because if it is, the answer is no. I just have naturally rosy lips. It's because I eat well, and because I had beet juice a little while ago, and I forgot to wipe my mouth. Now, there's a question you might have. Steve, Dale, how are you drinking beet juice? And more than that, where's it going once you drink it, if you've got no body? We got an amen from Christine, which is great, which means she's still here, which means that she shared this broadcast with everyone she knows. And she wants to wait around in the room to get the praise from people who said, Christine, my day wasn't nearly weird enough. Thank you for sending me to a broadcast where I could finally ask the questions I've had my whole life to a floating head. How do I fly, says Jason. I think I fly damn well. That's kind of a humorous answer to your question, dodging the real answer completely. See what I did there? Look, I don't know. It just happens. I just think I'd rather be 4 feet above the ground. And there I am. So are we caught up on the questions? How does a floating head stay alive? Ooh, I almost missed that one, Jane. I guess that brings us back around to the question I was trying to dodge about the beet juice. Yeah. How does this work? If I eat, if in fact I do, and I never said I did, but if I did, and I'm chewing, that's me chewing, right? And I swallow, does it just fall on the ground? Yes, it does, okay? Where else is it going to go? Some invisible stomach? Is that what you were kind of thinking? Like, I don't know, or maybe his stomach's up in his head somewhere. Like he swallows, but the tube just goes right back into his brain and feeds itself. Now that is exactly what's happening. I've got a brain tube at the back of my mouth. Yeah, so I just eat and it goes right to my brain. What about the waste, Steve, Dale? You know what? Maybe I'm just way more efficient than you. Did you ever think of that? Maybe I don't feel the need to waste. Maybe I eat exactly what I need to and nothing more. Or maybe it just falls out when I'm not looking. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm a floating head in the middle of a dog playing field waiting for your questions. Let's check them out now. Do I like podcasting? Podcasting. Well, it's something I've toyed with as a floating head because there is great demand for floating head podcasting these days. Right? So I'm toying with it. Weird that you would ask. Maybe that's a sign that I should move forward with the plan. What would I call it? What would you call a podcast about a guy who's a floating head who answers questions in a dog playing field, whose name is Steve or Dale? I don't know. Maybe we should have a contest to name the podcast. Let's see. Does Tracy have a floating head too? Well, yes, of course she does. But it's not, I can't, it's not me. I can't do that. Would be ethically wrong. Is that right? I don't know. I'm a floating head. You're supposed to be asking the questions and not me. Okay? It doesn't say questions from a floating head, does it? Well, I just asked you one. So I guess I gave you a bonus question that I wasn't even supposed to. That's a darn good deal. That's the floating head guarantee. A free question with every broadcast from me. Let's go to your comments now. Could you float anywhere in the world? If so, where would your first destination be? Well, Christine, you know, I actually can float anywhere I want to. I just have to imagineer it in my mind. Paris? Sure. Germany? Sure. The UK? Abso-freaking-lutely. Aruba? Jamaica? But you know what? I'm kind of a dog playing field kind of guy. Like, I like it here. Look, it's dogs, you guys. So, I mean, it's not like they have dogs in Paris and the UK and Aruba and Jamaica, right? I mean, if I want dogs, I got to stay here in the dog playing field. And I intend to. Let's go to your comments. Oh, I see. There aren't any more questions. No questions have been posted since No questions have been posted since I last looked over there and addressed the whole, whatever the last question was. Let's check it out again, just so I can remember. Oh, lost it. It scrolled off. All right, so what other questions? I think we have time for just a couple more. What's that? We have 5 hours more? Oh my God, that's... Did not expect that at all. You know what? I'm going to call that a no-go. 5 hours, way too long. Let's go to your questions. How do you play your ukulele? Now, I'm Steve, or Dale, and I have no arms. I don't play the ukulele. I believe you're thinking of someone else who looks different, may have a similar voice characteristic, but I'm not playing any 4-stringed instruments, 6-stringed instruments, 88-keyed instruments. I'm not playing a dulcimer. I will play a gong, though, and I'm really good at it. Let's go to your comments. Oh, I see. Same old thing. Well, even though I don't have 5 hours left, I do have a quota. I have to answer a certain amount of questions. Now, we've been doing very well. I gotta say, participation is off the charts, you guys. It's nice, but I think maybe we need a new question from a new person. Someone who hasn't asked a question yet. And then I will let you go on with your day or whatever it is for you. Evening, afternoon. Again, you are making an assumption, Christine, based on a one characteristic. If you had brown eyes, and I said, well, you sure look like Tracy. You got brown eyes. Would that be, you know what I'm saying? I think you do. Let's go to your comments. Questions. Can you get a nose ring? But see, okay, can you get a nose ring for your floating head? Honestly, and this may come as a huge shock to you, Christine, I've never looked into it. Not once have I been the least bit curious about a nose ring. But, to answer your question, I don't see why not. Okay? Technologically, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Not likely to find out. Let's go to your questions. Well, see, what I had said was I needed a question from someone new. Now, Christine had asked a question before. And it's not that I'm not appreciative because, am I? I am. I think I am. Am I? Hang on. Yes. Yes, I am. But if I could just get one more from someone who hasn't asked a question yet, we could all get on with our day. These dogs could, I don't know, keep doing what they're doing. Let's go to your questions. Well, I know those of you who are watching, who have asked questions, are going, well, if there's nothing we can do, he said he wanted a new person. I'd be happy to ask another question, because you're all wonderful people whom I love deeply. There simply isn't anyone else there to ask a question. So he's going to be waiting a long time. This is what you're thinking to yourself. Because Amy also has already asked a question. Chihuahua is the answer. I've got to scoot off now. So see, Christine had to give up. But she hung in there for a long time. And Christine, if I could give you a round of applause, I would, but no hands. Thank you, Christine, for your participation, for your contribution, and your participation, and your contribution. I appreciate all four of those. All right, well, perhaps I'm asking too much. It's okay. It's okay. You guys, don't feel bad. You did your part. You did your part, and I won't forget it. Oh, no. I'll remember it. I'll think about it for the rest of the day. Because what else am I going to think about? Right? I'm going to peek over there one more time just to see if maybe there's one more question from someone who hasn't asked one yet. If there's not, I'm afraid our time together has come to an end. Let's go to your questions. Well, we have a question, but it's not from someone new. So I'm afraid for me to be in integrity, I have to do what I said I was going to do. Do I want to? No. I could have stayed here all day. I just needed one more question. But alas, it was not to be. So until the next time we get together out here in the dog playing field, this is Steve or Dale saying, think of a question by next week.